Hello, this is Displace, and today we are going to be going over the 3 different specs that are viable for Rogue DPS in Phase 7 of Season of Discovery. Long ago are the phases that bring us new runes, and now our builds will be determined by gear and boss fights, which mean we have options when it comes to which builds we want to use. For this guide, I'm going to be going over the following: builds, the rotation for each build, consumables, and any add-ons that I think would benefit you. Over the course of Season of Discovery, 3 main builds have come to the forefront: Mutilate, Saber Slash, and Backstab. And in Phase 7, all 3 builds are viable, and it comes down to your individual gear, the length of the boss fight, and really your personal playstyle. With the current sims and all of the best in slot gear, there's about 100 to a 250 DPS difference between the different specs. I'm only mentioning this for transparency because there's a lot of people that do look at sims. However, I don't want to put too much weight into them. And the reason why is because sims represent a near perfect rotation and conditions. There's a lot of additional variables to take into consideration, like not having the best in slot gear, rotation mistakes, RNG on boss fights and mechanics, and other things. Also, some specs will be better on one boss compared to others. So, for example, Saber Slash is really powerful, but it's dependent on not letting the Saber Slash stacks drop off. So on Patchwork, this might be the best spec. But on a boss where you have to switch targets, or get out of range and stop DPSing the boss, this might not perform well as other builds. So I think that you can really bring any spec and be viable. And if you really want to min-max, then you should be looking at what spec is best for each boss. So don't be afraid to experiment to see what works best for not only the gear you have, but the boss you're fighting. The first build we are going to go over is the Mutilate build, which is going to be the same as Phase 6. And just like the last phase, we are not putting any points into murder. And this is because 95% of the mobs in Nax are considered undead, so we don't benefit from murder. All of the rest of the talents have stayed the same. So this being the Carnage build means that we will be taking improved Slice and Dice, since we will be having to manually refresh it, which we'll discuss more in the rotation section. The runes that you're going to take are going to be the following: Honor Among Thieves for the head, Crimson Tempest for the back, Deadly Brew for the chest, Carnage for the wrists, Mutilate for the hands, Poison Knife for the waist, Envenom for the legs, Master of Subtlety for the feet, and Nature and Dagger specialization for the rings. There are new shoulder runes this phase. They act like consumables, but I say that they're runes because they stack with shoulder enchants. And there are 2 main ones that you want to look at: Soul of the Toxicologist, which increases the crit damage of your poisons by 100%, and Soul of the Efficient, which reduces the energy cost of your finishing moves by 50%. So for example, Soul of the Efficient does the same thing as the 3-piece Veiled Shadow set. So if you're using this set, then Toxicologist would be better. However, if you don't have the Veiled Shadow set, then Soul of the Efficient might be better. So depending upon your gear will depend upon which one outperforms. So I would definitely look at testing these out through either sims or trial and error. The rotation is going to be straightforward, but it does require you to be balancing 3 different finishing moves. So we always want to start from Stealth because of Master of Subtlety. Our opener is going to be Mutilate. Although we could use Garrett in order to get the additional 8% increase in damage from the bleed effect activating Carnage, the damage is actually not worth it. So once we build up our combo points, we are going to Slice and Dice. This is our first priority since it increases not only our attack speed, but our energy regeneration as well. Once we build up our combo points again using Mutilate, we are going to use Crimson Tempest, regardless of how many mobs we have, in order to activate the Carnage rune. And this is because Crimson Tempest benefits from our attack power and does more DPS than a Rupture. After that, we are going to Mutilate again to build up our combo points, and then as long as Slice and Dice and Crimson Tempest are up, we Envenom. During the fight, we will want to use Poison Knife anytime it is off of cooldown, as it gives us a 100% chance to apply the poison in the offhand, which in our case will be Occult Poison by default. And then we just prioritize Slice and Dice, Crimson Tempest, and then Envenom. The Carnage build can be unforgiving if you are having trouble balancing all three finish moves. So if that's the case, there is an alternative Mutilate build called Cut to the Chase. This offers a simplified rotation without sacrificing DPS. So here's the build. The biggest difference is that you will be moving 1 point out of improved Slice and Dice and into Lethality. Unfortunately, there really isn't anything better to put the other 2 points from improved Slice and Dice into. If we really want to min-max, we could move those 2 points over to Murder for the handful of bosses that are considered humanoid, but the DPS increase is pretty small. The other thing we're going to do is just change our wrist rune to Cut to the Chase. Now this is going to simplify our rotation drastically. Our opening rotation is still going to be the same. We start from Stealth with Mutilate, then we cast Slice and Dice immediately, regardless of how many combo points we have. We're going to cast Mutilate again to build up combo points, and then Envenom. Envenom will automatically refresh our Slice and Dice, and so our rotation then becomes Mutilate and then Envenom until the boss is dead. Saber Slash uses the same talent build as the Carnage Mutilate build, and so the only thing that is going to change is our runes. And this is good because it allows you to play around with this build just by adjusting your equipment. So here are the talents that we'll be taking. Nothing special here, but as noted in the previous section, we are not putting points into Murder since 95% of the mobs in Nax are considered undead. The runes we're going to be taking are going to be the following: Honor Among Thieves for the head, Crimson Tempest for the back, Deadly Brew for the chest, Carnage for the wrists, Saber Slash for the hands, Poison Knife for the waist, Envenom for the legs, Master of Subtlety for the feet, and weapon specializations for the rings. So either sword, dagger, or fist, depending upon your weapons. Now for this build, you will want to use Soul of the Efficient, which reduces the energy cost of your finishing moves by 50%. And this is by far the best option for your shoulders. You're already spending a large amount of energy on Saber Slash anyway, building your combo points. So anything you can do to reduce Slice and Dice and Envenom will allow you to have a smoother rotation. The rotation is going to be straightforward and is a little easier than the Mutilate build. So, like always, we want to start from Stealth because of Master of Subtlety. Our opener is going to be Saber Slash, and this is going to put a bleed on the target, which activates the damage increase from the Carnage rune. We continue to Saber Slash to build up combo points, and then cast Slice and Dice. We Saber Slash again to build up our combo points, and then as long as Slice and Dice and Carnage are up, we Envenom. Because the Carnage rune is activated from the Saber Slash bleeds, the only finishing moves we should worry about are Slice and Dice and Envenom. Carnage should always be up as long as we have been DPSing the boss for at least a few hits. During the fight, we will want to use Poison Knife anytime it is off of cooldown, as it does give us a 100% chance to apply the poison in the offhand. This is going to apply Occult Poison by default, and then we just prioritize Slice and Dice and then Envenom. The third build is Backstab. And in this phase, there are 2 different Backstab builds, which are really close together for DPS and is really just dependent upon your playstyle. The runes and rotation are going to be the same for both of these builds, so I'm going to look at the builds individually, then discuss the runes and rotation. The first one is going to take us pretty far down the subtlety tree, and this is going to be a good build for AoE situations. We are going to be taking 5 points into Opportunity because it increases our Backstab and Ambush abilities. The next line is just some utility talents. Next, we take Initiative, which will add additional combo points when using Ambush, and then Improved Ambush, which increases its critical strike chance. On the next row, we take 1 point in Setup. This isn't going to do much, if anything, but it will allow us to progress further down the tree. And then we take Serrated Blades. This is a powerful AoE ability when using Crimson Tempest, as it benefits from the talents that modify Rupture. So now your AoE is going to be 30% stronger. After that, we take 2 points into Heightened Senses, which prevents us from getting hit from spells as often, and 1 point in Preparation, which finishes the cooldown on all of our rogue ability. We finish this tree off with 5 points in Deadliness, which increases our attack power by 10%. Then we move over to the combat tree and take 2 points into Improved Sinister Strike. This helps with Poison Knife, but really nothing else. And 3 points into Lightning Reflexes, which really just allows us to progress further down the tree, so we can pick up 3 points into Improved Backstab, which increases our crit strike chance of Backstab. And last, we move over to the Assassination tree and take the following: 5 points into Malice to improve our crit chance, 2 into Ruthlessness, which gives us a chance to add a combo point when doing a finishing move, and 3 into Improved Slice and Dice to help keep it up longer. We take 1 point into Relentless Strikes, which gives us a chance to restore some energy, and 2 points into Lethality, which increases our Backstab crit damage. Now, this build does give up Blade Flurry, so your only AoE ability is going to be Crimson Tempest. But because we are taking Serrated Blades, our Crimson Tempest does get a huge boost in damage. The second Backstab build is going to take us down the Assassination tree instead. So we're going to start off in the Subtlety tree. We're going to take 5 points into Opportunity to increase the damage of our Backstab and Ambush abilities, 5 points into Camouflage, really just to move further down the tree, and 3 points into Improved Ambush. We then move over to the Combat tree, where we can pick up Improved Backstab. Then we go to the Assassination tree and go all the way down to get 5 points into Seal Fate. We're picking up 3 points into Improved Slice and Dice to keep it up longer, 5 points into Lethality, which increases our crit damage of Backstab, 5 points into Vile Poisons, and 2 into Improved Poisons, and then go down the rest of the way to get 5 into Seal Fate. Unlike other builds where your poisons are usually your top damage, the Backstab build is a little different. Your 2 top damaging abilities are usually going to be Ambush and Backstab, followed by your poisons. So the 5 points we take in Vile Poison and 2 into Improved Poison just helps increase some of that damage. The runes that we're going to be taking for this build are the following: Focused Attacks for the head, Crimson Tempest for the back, Slaughter from the Shadows for the chest, Carnage for the wrist, Cutthroat for the hands, Poison Knife for the waist, Envenom for the legs, Master of Subtlety for the feet, and Nature and Dagger Specialization for the rings. For the Backstab build, we want Soul of the Butcher for our shoulder rune, which is going to increase the damage of our main hand weapon from combo generating abilities by 20%. This is because both Ambush and Backstab are our top damaging abilities. Just like the other builds, this rotation is also pretty simple, but will require you to be balancing 3 different finishing moves. So, like always, we want to start from Stealth because of Master of Subtlety. Our opener is going to be Ambush. This is because Ambush is your hardest hitting ability. You could also use Backstab as an opener, especially since it has a chance to trigger the Cutthroat rune, which allows you to cast an additional ambush out of stealth. However, due to the proc chance, this is an overall DPS loss. So after our opener, we are going to Backstab or Ambush if it procs to build up combo points. You will always want to prioritize Ambush procs over Backstab. Once we build up our combo points, we are going to cast Slice and Dice for the attack speed and energy regeneration. And then we're going to Backstab Ambush to rebuild our combo points and cast Crimson Tempest, regardless of how many mobs we have in order to activate the Carnage rune. Remember, we're doing this because Crimson Tempest benefits from our attack power and does more DPS than Rupture does. We're going to Backstab and Ambush again to build up our combo points, and then as long as Slice and Dice and Carnage are up, we Envenom. During the fight, we will want to use Poison Knife anytime it is off of cooldown, as it gives us a 100% chance to apply the poison in the offhand. One important thing to remember though is because we aren't using the Deadly Brew rune, we have to manually apply a poison to our offhand weapon. which should be occult poison since it counts as a deadly poison in order to use Envenom. And then we just prioritize Slice and Dice, Crimson Tempest, and then Envenom. For the Saber Slash and Mutilate builds, we don't need to apply poisons to our weapons because we are using the Deadly Brew rune. So for these builds, we'll just be using a consecrated sharpening stone. Now, if you have a druid or shaman in your group, you will only need a sharpening stone on your offhand, as your main hand weapon will be utilizing Wild Strikes or Wind Fury Totem. If you're going with the Backstab build, you will want to put occult poison on the offhand. Some of the main consumables that we have in this phase are Elixir of the Honey Badger, which gives us an additional 30 agility and crit hit by 2%, as well as increases our nature resistance by 15. If that's too expensive, we can always use Elixir of the Mongoose, which gives us an additional 25 agility and crit hit by 2%. Flask of the Madness increases our attack power by 50. Juju Power, which gives you plus 30 to strength, or Elixir of Giants, which gives you plus 25 to strength. Juju Might, which gives you plus 40 to attack power, or Winterfall Firewater, which increases our attack power by 35. For our food buff, the best food is grilled squid. This will give us an additional 10 agility for 10 minutes. We can also use Dragon Breath Chili. This food causes you to breathe fire, which does give you a DPS increase. And Dragon Breath Chili does stack with grilled squid. However, you will want to eat the squid first and then eat the chili. If you do it the other way around, eating the squid will cause the Dragon Breath buff to go away. And then we have Thistle Tea, which restores 100 energy. Other consumables are Mildly Irradiated Rejuvenation Potion, which not only heals us, but also increases our attack power by 40 for 25 seconds. We have a Scroll Wrath of the Swarm, which is made by enchanters and gives a raid-wide buff, 40 increased damage and healing with spells, and plus 40 to attack power. We also have Limited Invulnerability Potion. This makes you immune to physical attacks for 6 seconds and can be used if you find yourself in a life and death situation. There's only a handful of add-ons I use, so the ones that I'm going to list here are what I feel are most helpful for anybody playing the game. The first one is tullaRange. So if an ability is out of range, it's going to highlight the entire ability red. And you can go into the options and change the color of the abilities if you're out of range, out of mana, or you just can't use it. Now, this does work only if you're using the default UI. So if you're using an add-on like Bartender, this one won't work. The next one is IceHUD. This is a heads-up display that centers your health and energy around your player, keeping your focus front and center. It includes combo points and an energy ticker, and works for all classes. The next one is WeakAuras. Now, all of the things that the other two add-ons can do, WeakAuras can do as well, but there is a specific one that I use for the energy bar and the notification here on what is active and what's on cooldown. I will link that WeakAura in the description of this video. This next add-on is if you like bigger unit frames and want to keep the classic look like this, the add-on is called Easy Frames. And the last one is MissingPower. MissingPower is another non-rogue specific add-on, but it's a powerful one that helps you manage your resources. The first thing is how many times you can use a certain ability. So for example, a number shows over the ability that shows how many mutilates you can cast within the given amount of energy. And this works for all classes. So if you're playing mage, it shows you how many times you can cast Frostbolt or Fireball with the given mana. And if you don't have enough energy or resources, it overlays the ability with a graphic that shows you how close you are to being able to use the ability again. So I use this a lot with seeing how close I am to being able to use a finishing move like Envenom. I may have the right amount of combo points, but being able to see how close I am energy-wise helps me able to prioritize my rotation. If you've enjoyed this guide, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so I can continue helping people. And as always, I love hearing from everybody, so drop a comment below and let me know what you thought about this video.